Welcome to our session with our panellists this afternoon under the title Social Media, the Good, the Bad and the Ugly. Social media, as you're all probably aware, is attracting a higher and higher profile, manifesting itself in a myriad of ways, politically, socially, economically, in the employment sphere, in business. It's touching our lives in every conceivable way and sometimes inconceivable ways. I've got to make a few disclaimers at the start of this afternoon's session. First, I'm not on Facebook. I don't know how to be on Facebook yet. I don't tweet. I've been urged to do this by the Maurice Blackburn Media Department, but I've so far resisted. Secondly, I've known Catherine Devney for probably 25 years, and more recently, when Catherine came to grief with The Age, I acted for her and gave her some advice, which we'll talk about shortly, but just so you know, those things are fully disclosed. A few words about our panellists today. Adam Lunn is a partner with Mills Oakley's Workplace Relations, Employment and Safety team in Melbourne, with over 20 years' experience acting on behalf of many Australian and multinational corporations and government instrumentalities throughout the Asia-Pacific region. And he notes that despite thinking for a long time that Facebook was some sort of internet dating site and wondering why all his colleagues were so frank about their participation in it, he has crawled out of the dark ages and is now regarded as one of the leading authorities on the impact of social media in the workplace. Catherine Devney is, or Dev as she likes to call herself, is a writer, comedian and social commentator, best known for her work on ABC radio, Q&A, and as a columnist with The Age, or a former columnist with The Age. She's in constant demand as a corporate speaker, after-dinner entertainer, panel member, guest lecturer, and delivers a lot of keynote addresses. She had a one-woman show called God is Bullshit, which sold out in 2010 and 2011 at the Melbourne International Comedy Festival, and has been named in the top 100 most influential Melburnians. She's an atheist, along with two of her sons, dyslexic, and she is involved in a federal government working party on dyslexia. She also is extensively involved in charity and community work, including with the Asylum Seekers Resource Centre, Wish In and Broken Rights. She's got a formidable CV. She's shy, she's retiring, but I'm hoping to coax her out of her shell today for this afternoon's session. And the first thing I'm going to do to try and coax Catherine out of her shell is to ask Catherine, right at the outset, to tell us about your version of what happened at The Age and why you no longer work with them.
Josh, are you going to come and sit down, or are you going to stand there?
Do you want to? Should I jump up and down, or should I stay here?
I think it's more conversational, and I'm quite frankly a little uncomfortable with the power.
Okay, so I'll come and sit down.
I prefer you sat down with your Bill Kelty hairdo. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you very much for having me here today. I've known Josh for a long time, and he's many things, as you guys know. He's also Melbourne's greatest Nick Cave impersonator and borderline professional ukulele player. So do coax those talents out of him later. I've been working on and off for The Age I had been for about 10 years. I'm a freelancer. I've done lots and lots of things, worked as a stand-up guest lecturer, all those kind of things that you heard about. Columnists, write books. Everything changed from year to year. Sometimes I would make 90% of my wages out of stand-up. The next year it would be 100% out of writing for television, and then the next year it would be, 80% out of writing for The Age, and 20% from broadcasting. So I'm a freelancer. I'm a kind of a Jill of all trades and a multitasker and not terribly good at anything. I had, like many people, been on a kind of a bit of a handshake agreement with The Age. You work for lots of different editors and all that kind of stuff, and someone will ring you and ask you to do a job, and sometimes it's like the column has a fixed amount of words and a fixed amount of pay to it, and other times they'll say, oh, we'll give you 80 cents a word, and then you will still be doing the column 6 months later, and you say, oh, how about we hike it up a bit? So, but basically I was on a word rate with them, just what I asked for, and they kind of agreed to, despite what editors I had. I got called in 2006. I think I sent an email saying to Jonathan Green at the time and said, blah, blah, love your work, blah, blah, how are the kids, blah, blah, need some work. Is there anything going on? And he said, look, I'm not at The Age, but, you know, I'll pass this over to my missus who's editing The A2. And I was asked if I could fill in for a television column for 4 weeks, and anyway, I stayed there, it was quite successful, and the editor called me in at the time, which is a long and hilarious story because I didn't know who he was, and asked me to write opinion for them, and I said, I don't know anything about anything. They said, sure, that's fine, just write that. And I said, look, I don't read newspapers. I get my information, you know, mum's down at the school, the checkout chicks, the taxi drivers. They said, yep, that's good. We want the suburban perspective. And then I said, I scan, the Guardian, the New Yorker, and, the South China Post. They said, yeah, that's what we want, the global perspective. And I said, yeah, that global suburban perspective, that's a big market. So I've always been me and always done what I've done stand-up and nothing else. And I don't know what it was that I never felt that I needed to, I was never given any contracts. I just continued on. They said, how much do you want to write opinion columns? I just told them what I'd been paid up until then. And keep in mind, I had been paid for about 10 years on average, which was around about $1 a word. Not a lot of money. If we put it this way, I think 15 years ago, there were people who were writing theatre reviews for $2.50 a word and stuff. So it wasn't a lot of money, and it was just like, fine, do it. So my profile kind of began to rise, and particularly people were interested in things I had to say about atheism and women changing their names when they get married, private schools and stuff like that. Circumcision, it's a hot topic over here. Lucky you had girls, otherwise there could be a bit of a deal breaker. And I just continued to do what I do. They just said, write what you write. We love your voice. Just write the way you do. There was a change in editor. The editor who originally gave me such free range and asked me to write opinion. And I seriously, I don't read the newspaper. I mean, I'm after truth, so I find it, elsewhere. And had never been told to write the way I write. As soon as he came in, the first thing he did was cut my handshake agreement rate by 60 or 40% straight off. Just said, you're now being down to freelancers' wages, because I was not on a contract. I'd asked to be on a contract. It was like, no, we're not doing contracts. And they had basically walked in, and it was, as you understand, it was global financial crisis, huge issues with the media as well, with the online going off. So they thought, right, you're not on a contract, we can get rid of you. You are on a contract, we'll work you twice as hard. Oh, Catherine Evans is a freelancer, what can we do with her? Well, look what she's getting. She's still on a handshake agreement. We're going to start these new freelancers here, so we can actually call her that.